All right, welcome to a new edition of the New York Power Hour. I am Peter, and beside me is my dear friend Luke. Luke, how you doing this night?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. I was a little let down by the David Peterson outing today. Watching the Yankees right now, they're tied 2-2. Um, yeah, just kind of mid. Just kind of a midnight right now.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of us were let down by the David Peterson start. 5 innings, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts. Um, the Mets have made a bit of a habit of being five and dive continuing on from this season, although it has looked a little bit more effective than it did last year. The only saving grace is San Minaya pitched the rest of the game, so the bullpen stayed intact, which is
Yeah.
always nice. But yeah, I mean, we can talk about David Peterson. I know that it affects you in fantasy and it affects me in real life. Um, oh, hello, Ed. Good to see you, sir. Wow, there's a pair of models on my TV. Wow, look at you putting YouTube on your TV. Uh,
Damn, you
you
must be
put,
watching a different. You must be watching a different channel on YouTube. But I appreciate you coming in and commenting.
uh, yeah, but I mean, let's get into David Peterson. Really, not an effective um, start from him at all. Like, I think we all went into the season not expecting him to be an ace by any means, but certainly more effective than this. Um, I'm trying to pull up his Statcast data from this game, and my phone is not being helpful. This is really good podcasting. Definitely
While you're
didn't have this before.
while you're pulling it up, I mean, I'll say this. I mean, yeah, the expectation is David Peterson, SP3, SP4, right? He's supposed to pound you innings, keep a low ERA. He's not going to strike a bunch of guys out. Um, I say the only saving grace for his performance tonight or today was, you let up 5 earned runs in the first 2 innings, and then you can fire back another 3 innings without allowing a run. Stretching that start out to 5 innings, that's an SP3 move, right? Young gun, SP5. I mean, they're going to keep compiling. They're going to keep letting up runs. He was able to weather the storm. He was able to get back, at least get him 5 innings. Like you said before, Mania was able to finish off the game, so no hurt to the bullpen. But
Mhm.
early start, letting up 5 earned runs, it hurts. It hurts a lot, and it hurts a lot of a team that has struggled to hit and is going to continue to struggle to hit without Juan Soto in the lineup. So, you kind of beat yourself up with the tough start, but good resilience to come back and fire off three innings without letting up a run.
Yeah, here I pulled up his Statcast data for the year. Really, n- uh, not a lot of red. The only red is ground ball rate, which we've already known at David Peterson.
Yeah.
He is a ground ball pitcher.
Yep.
We not really get anyone to chase, not get anyone to whiff. Very, very light on the strikeouts there, and like it's he's leaving a lot desired. His fastball is not good. It's only averaging about like 90, which is a couple
Yeah.
ticks. David Peterson should be somewhere between 93 and 94 consistently, and
Yeah.
it might seem like a small amount, but that 3 miles per hour or less is is a big difference in the majors.
He's your prototypical pre-statcast pitcher, right? I'm going to throw you low in the zone. I'm gonna try and get as much break as possible. I'm not going to beat you with velocity. I'm going to beat you with break, and I'm going to keep it low in the zone and try and keep the ball on the ground. He's not your Freddie Peralta. He's not your Jacob Mizorowski. He's not your Garrett Crochet. He's not your Garrett Cole. Right? He's not these guys you're going to pound you up in the zone with 95 plus. Right? He's going to keep it. He's going to keep it low, and he's going to keep it slow. Um, there's give and take. He won't be, like I said before, he's not going to be your SP1. He's not going to be the guy who's going to get you 8 to 10 strikeouts. I would say 6 strikeouts is a lot for him too,
Mhm.
which is sort of a weird outing. But um, you gotta prevent the hard hits. You got to prevent the stuff going into the gaps. Keep the ball on the ground. He just couldn't get that done early in the game.
Yeah, well, I mean the Diamondbacks are kind of a weird team. They are a little bit top heavy. Corbin Carroll had 3 hits. Um, you know, Vargas and Fernandez also had multiple hits, but Marte had an RBI, Carroll had 2, Perdomo had 1, Moreno had 1, and Moreno might as well have been the home plate umpire today. He had 3 challenges that he got correct. So it's I'm not too upset. I'm not too disappointed. The Mets have won 4 in a row coming into this game. It's a lot of baseball. You can't win every game, but certainly you'd expect a little bit more from David Peterson. Granted, he is only like the Mets' 3rd, 4th starter, but we've seen what he can do, and the fact that he's so inconsistent, it's a little bit frustrating.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see it, and it's tough as a Mets fan, right? Because you look at the middle of last year, complete game shutout. He was really electric toward the middle of the season, and then it's just been a huge taper off, right? And you kind of hope that last year maybe it was the amount of innings, compiling that amount. I don't think he'd pitched that much in a season before. You kind of hope that this season you kind of hit the reset button. But it seems like those issues from last year are compounding. It wasn't so much the workload, but just his stuff that's showing now.
Yeah, and on top of that, it wasn't just David Peterson that was disappointing. It was the lineup. The lineup really didn't show up at all either. And I'll remove the banner so it's not covering up the top portion of the screen there. Right off the bat, to me, I see that only Alvarez got a walk. That's the only person that walked today. That is certainly concerning. Vientos and Beatty both got RBIs, which is great, but there wasn't a lot of traffic in the bases. In fact, I know 2 people in a row got on base from errors. So it's when there's that combination of a bit of a disappointing start from Dave Peterson, and the bat's not really showing up. Like the night before, you had some nice performances and people coming off the bench, and I've criticized Carlos Mendoza a lot, but last night he made the right moves and it paid off. But the lineup seemed very flat. This is the first time since Soto's been out of the lineup where it was noticeable.
I know we were following the game, and I think what was it, in the 6th inning, the Mets only had 3 hits, and you kind of look at that and you think, okay, well maybe Zach Gallen's pitching, but it was Ryan Nelson, right?
Yeah.
like you should not be, you shouldn't be lit up by Ryan Nelson. Oh crap! Sorry,
Do we have breaking Yankees news?
Yeah, it's second and 3rd, top of the 9th. Kurtz and Langoliers just took Bednar single and then a double.
Oh,
So a little bit of trouble in the 9th here.
Runners in the corners.
No, second and third.
Second and third. Okay. How many outs?
No outs. Yeah,
no outs.
First two batters in the inning, and Bednar had them both on 2 strikes, which is crazy. It's a cold night. The ball hasn't been traveling, but they made solid contact on both of those. I think that's a huge red flag if you're facing Ryan Nelson and you're only putting up 3 hits. Again, I know it was a cold day, but still you gotta find a way to put the ball in play.
No, yeah, absolutely. It's New York in April. I'm obviously the amount of Yankee games I watch is nothing compared to the amount of Mets games, but the ball dies in the outfield when it's this cold, and I'm sure it's the same way in the Bronx that is in Queens. But yeah, the Mets have won plenty of games this year playing the small ball. They don't have, Pete's gone. They don't really have that big power bat as good as Soto is, and he'll hit 30 home runs, but he's not a power guy. So the Mets have lost a lot of power, which is fine if you're putting the ball in play. I know Justin Willard, the Mets hitting coach, his new approach was, attack, and we have seen some of that. And it just didn't work out today. It seemed like it almost seemed like they were scared to strike out, which is ironic because they only got one walk. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know, it's one of those games that, like it's Ryan Nelson. You really kind of like look. It's too early in the season for me to start to worry about these things, but for the past two out of the last 3 seasons, the game has come down to literally one game.
Right.
So, I like as a baseball fan, I understand that like I can't get too worried about a game on April 8th. But as a Mets fan, I'm like, but if this was what if this was the game that we won that would help us make the
Right.
playoffs? Because it's happened 2 out of the past 3 years.
Right.
So
Yeah. I mean, I know the Soto news is still a little fresh, right?
mhm.
Happened over the weekend. I think they announced on Monday he's going on the IL. What are your thoughts? What are your outlooks on the team over the next couple of weeks while Soto's out?
Yeah, I mean, the one nice benefit is this gives Carson Benj more time. He has looked terrible at the plate after the opening day. And he had a walk, he had a stolen base, he hit a home run. Like to me, he kind of he checked all the boxes in that day. He cannot hit the fastball, and teams quickly figure that out and just feed him fastballs. He can't catch up. He's late on them. What is encouraging is that I was reading an article. I'm not going to remember the stat. I don't remember the stats on it, but Rodriguez, the center fielder out in the Mariners.
Seattle. Yeah.
Julio. Yeah, Julio. Thank you. Julio Rodriguez.
J-Rod, as they call him.
Okay.
J-Rod.
J-Rod. Sorry. Jackson Cheerio, and 2 other people who are now Corbin Carroll. I forget the fourth. Their first month in the majors was terrible, and then after that they hit fire and they were great. So there's hope there for Carson Bench. I don't think that Carson Bench ceiling is necessarily as high as some of those guys, but it's he did not play many games in AAA. He pretty much had a cup of coffee in AAA and then was called up to the majors because of the injury to Tauchman. So I want to give this guy more time. The Soto injury affords him that time. When Soto comes back, though, if he's not hitting, he has to go back down to AAA.
So who replaces him at this point?
Well, it seems like he's going to keep playing in left field. They want to give that he's technically the replacement because he's moving over to the left field where Soto was. It seems like technically, I guess then Brett Beatty's replacing him. It seems like Brett Beatty's going to be the everyday right fielder. They want him to get comfortable with that spot and not play at left because when Soto comes back, he's going to move anyway. So let's get him comfortable at right. Which I agree with. But then that leaves an interesting conundrum in the infield because Polanco's already dealing with Achilles injuries. It's nothing major, but he's old, and so his Achilles hurt sometimes. But luckily, Mark Vientos has looked acceptable at first base, and Bo Bichette is starting to turn the corner and looks like an okay third baseman. So some of the things that the Mets were worried about defensively are kind of working out in their favor. This is the most comfortable I've ever seen Mark play first base. His footwork has greatly improved from last year. And there's even been a few times where the throws from Bo Bichette were not perfect, and actually took Vientos off the bag. He was still able to apply the tag. So these are all good signs that you like to see. But the Soto injury does hurt. So there are probably going to be games like today where the offense is non-existent. When you also include Lindor's historically slow starts in the month of April. So that it is what it is. Okay, it's kind of baked into your season. At least it should be. It seems like Mets fans forget every year, but it is what it is. So yeah, I mean, Mets fans, we're kind of going to have to suffer for a couple weeks, but it'll get better. It's okay. Thank God it was just a calf strain and it wasn't anything major.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would have been upset if it was a larger injury for Juan Soto. I think the team I don't want to say the team goes with Juan Soto, but I think the team goes with Juan Soto. I think the offense goes with Juan Soto. I think the lineup, it's a lineup that's built around Juan Soto, and there's a lot of above average players who become good hitters because they're hitting around Juan Soto. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, agreed.
So you lose today to the Diamondbacks. Matchup tomorrow of Eduardo Rodriguez against Noel McLean. Peter, how are you feeling about Noel McLean's start so far with the Mets? I know it's been 2 this season.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's Nolan McLean. I love Nolan McLean. I will always feel good whenever he's on the mound. Rodriguez has had a strong start to his season. To my unfortunate chagrin, I'm sure he will continue that. But yeah, I mean, I feel like Nolan McLean is. It's obviously a completely different pitcher than David Peterson. Yes, they are at the end of the day both ground ball pitchers, but McLean has a lot more juice behind his pitches than David Peterson ever will. We saw some of those pitches. I don't know if you did, but I saw in his last start. There were Phillies fans accusing the Mets of cheating, which is adorable because then we see a David Peterson start and it's like, really? They're not cheating. He's just that good. But there were some concerning things. While yes, he did have a perfect game going through 5, there were at least 4 counts where he started 0-3. Obviously, he made his way back from them, but he used a lot of pitches early. It was like he finished in the 6th inning and he was at 98 pitches, I believe, which is not an economical start at all.
Right. So it was middle of the 6th.
Yeah,
middle. I don't think he didn't finish. I don't think he went a full 6.
I'll pull up his stat line from last week, but
I think Peter, you're kind of bringing up a good point here because there's a clear delineation between
5.1. Sorry.
Between a good fantasy pitcher and a good pitcher in real life, right? The good fantasy pitcher, right? The Jacob Mizorowski's, right? He's a great example, right? Mackenzie Gore, right? They're gonna strike 2 guys out an inning, but they're only gonna get you 4 or 5 innings because they're hitting 90 pitches by the 4th inning. They're using up their full repertoire, and you're required to utilize their bullpen. I think McLean can get into that, that S tier of pitcher, be more economical, still have the stuff and do it quickly, right? That's the important thing. Is can he find the control to keep his pitch count down, and extend out his outings, right? Because right now I think this season it's been 5 and then 5 1/3 on his starts. And it's something he's gonna have to learn. I'm sure there's apprehension for him pitching deep into games right now. But it's going to be something that's going to have to be learned for him, and it'll be interesting to see that delineation. Is he just going to be a really good fantasy pitcher, right? Is he going to be that guy who's just going to get you 5 innings, but he's going to strike out a ton of people? Right. And those solid, that's great 5 innings, but it becomes taxing on your bullpen. Right.
Yeah.
So we'll see, we'll see how that develops. I think he can avoid that. I think he has the stuff. I think he has the stamina to be that guy who can go 7 innings, get you 8 or 9, get 8 or 9 strikeouts and, 1 or 2 earned runs.
Yeah. I mean, his, stat line, he only had 4 strikeouts. He had 2 walks, but only gave 1 hit, 1 earned run, 5.1 innings. So yeah, I mean, a lot of that has to do, I believe, with he does not feel super comfortable against lefties. We have seen improvements already in this season like that than last year. Last year, whenever there was a lefty heavy lineup and teams would always try to stack against him, it did look like 2 different starts. For when he was facing mostly righties, but he's young still. Like this is going to be his first full year. It is probably a little bit unfair that people like me and other Mets fans have this high expectation of him. He's just a kid. But I do think he's just going to get better. And even the pitcher that he already is now is pretty darn good.
Right.
But Luke, you're right. Like, he needs to figure out a way to be more economical. And even if it's not getting a bunch of strikeouts, like if you're getting guys out to take ground balls and you're 3 to 4 pitches per batter, I'll take that. You don't. This is real life. You don't like. I know you're on my fantasy team, Nolan, but just get the outs and pitch for like 7 innings. It's okay. I'll forgive you.
Just an update. I am dropping Ryan McMahon from my fantasy team. He sucks. Boot him to the moon because he just struck out to end the game. He swung at 3 pitches that were out of the zone after starting a 3-0 count.
Gross.
Yeah. No, he's done. He's out. Seton Hall doesn't want him.
Well, was he part of the trade, the Soto trade, or did you already have him? I know I had him.
I had him last year. I might have picked him up on waivers because I liked him as a left-handed bat at Yankee Stadium, but outside of that, there's not much to offer. I think I also like that the Yankees were going to keep him in the lineup because he's so good defensively. But I mean, if you're not producing points right now, there's no reason to keeping you.
Yeah, it's a new day in Seton Hall, so you can't afford to
It's a
have
new
these
season.
defensive guys.
Exactly. It's a new season. I can't say that Seton Hall is going to be as good as UConn because UConn is clearly the top dog in the Big East. And if you haven't heard, they won the Big East tournament last year. I don't know if people know that, but UConn did win the Big East tournament last year. Sadly, they lost this past Monday in the NCAA tournament championship to Michigan, but UConn won the Big East in CBL.
Which was arguably the much more impressive of the two.
Clearly.
Yeah,
clearly.
But you know what?
Do you want to hear some crazy stats about UConn basketball?
I'd love to.
So the men's team since 1999, I want to say they've won 6 NCAA championships. Like, isn't that crazy? And then I think there was a stat I saw, and I want to say between from 2015 on, either a 1 seed or UConn has won the NCAA championship.
Wow.
Yeah,
they're impressive at that. We're not even talking about the women's side, which is even more.
No,
impressive.
And then I want to get in the women's side. The women's side, they've won 11 since 2000. So since 1999, UConn basketball has won 17 NCAA championships. That's crazy. That's crazy. Like, that is absolutely crazy. There have been 52 championships since 1999, and they've won 17 of them. That's wild. Like, that is absolutely wild to me.
No,
I know they're not New York, but they are. I would say they're tri-state
area.
They're tri-state. I think they deserve a little bit of recognition. I don't have nice things to say about Dan Hurley, but I mean, the guy clearly knows how to put together a team and knows how to develop and put together a game plan because they're consistently performing in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. Oh, listen, it's okay. Ash isn't here to wax poetic about the Red Storm, Johnnies. So
the Johnnies.
Okay. You can give a little bit of shine to UConn.
That's okay.
No shame in that.
Yeah. Something. Rick Pitino. He's really great. He's really great, and he used to coach at Louisville.
He did.
Yeah.
He sure did.
Louisville. Wow.
It's okay. I don't think anyone from Louisville is watching this, so I don't think we'll be offended by our pronunciation.
Yeah, I don't think Ed is going to be offended by our pronunciation.
Probably not. If you are, Ed, let us know, and we apologize. But
yeah,
Uh,
I'll do a public apology on the Discord later.
but you know what? We talked briefly about it. So, but we can go back into it. Luke, how about them Yankees?
I think there's a lot to like about the Yankees right now. Um, I think we started talking about it last week, and I think it's only improved since our last show. But the starting pitching has been stellar, right? Really great from Max Fried, continuing from last season, and really great from Cam Schlittler. I mean, those are your 1-2, and the crazy. And again, I know we've talked about this a number of times. You're going to get Carlos Rodon back. You're you're going to get Garrett Cole back, right? Those are, I mean, if those guys are pitching at their top levels, it's the best four. It's the best four in the MLB. Absolutely the best four in the MLB. And the problem you run into is you have so much. Now you have so much starting pitching, right? Where does Will Warren, where does he go? Where does where's Ryan Weathers go? Luis Hill is down in the minors right now. Um, Gosh, I mean, there's so much depth here when once this team is fully healthy, and even when they're not fully healthy right now, I mean, there's a ton of depth right now. So there's a lot to like about the starting pitching. The bullpen has been kind of here and there. Um, Duvall has kind of been this Jekyll Hyde, very similar to Devin Williams last year. Actually, I wouldn't say similar to Devin Williams. Devin Williams was absolutely atrocious to start. Duvall's had some good has had some good outings and some bad ones, and I think that's the pitcher that the Yankees signed up for. Bednar's your ninth guy, and he's looked he's looked really good. There's still a lot to desire from this offense. The bottom of the lineup has been atrocious at best. Uh, Wells has not been hitting well. Um, I think I said enough bad stuff about Ryan McMahon. Ahmed Rosario had a great game yesterday, hitting 2 home runs, and that was the whole offense, right? Like you don't go into the season thinking, oh well, we're going to win a game because Ahmed Rosario is going to hit a couple home runs, right? Like
Mhm.
that's not who should be who should be pulling the team together. Um, I don't know. Ben Rice has looked great. Stanton has looked great. Judge is Judge. So those guys are performing. Everyone else just has to step up. Trent Grisham's the best outfielder in the MLB. That's a consistent. Um, and I think someone else. I think Jazz has struggled a lot to start the season. This was someone who before the season started said he could definitely do a 40-40, and I mean, bro, I think he's batting under 200 right now. You could fact check me there.
Uh,
So
that sounds about right.
yeah, it's been a tough start for him too, but they're winning games. They're winning games right now. They're not clicking on all cylinders, but they're still winning. So um, I can kind of I can be happy about the number of W's that they have right now.
Yeah, you bring up Austin Wells specifically. I posted something earlier in the Discord, and this was complete rage bait, to be fair, but it's still like, again, this is comparing him to Luis Torrens, the Mets backup catcher. Like, Austin Wells looked fantastic in the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah,
It just seems like we're getting a completely different catcher.
yeah. I don't know, and I think it's sort of, and I know we talked about this last week, but it's sort of been an epidemic of the entire league. Hitting has been very slow this year, or at least to start the season. I don't know if it's the cold weather that's affecting the bats. And Austin Wells was hitting really well because he was playing down in Miami. So we'll let the weather warm up a little bit. Maybe the bats warm up too. But no, it hasn't been a good start for him.
Um, One question I wanted to ask you was, and you kind of already talked about it, but the Yankees bullpen. Obviously, last year you had Devin Williams as your closer and Luke Weaver as your eighth guy. Those are now in. They're now both in Queens. Um, David Bednar is your closer now. Who is your eighth guy? Eighth inning guy.
Right now, Duvall is the eighth guy. Hedrick has also been pitching the eighth. I know he pitched the eighth today. Duvall was the seventh today, but I think it lined up with lefty righty matchups.
Gotcha.
So it seems like Hedrick, Duvall, and are the bridge to Bednar right now.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know the Yankees have always relied heavily on analytics, especially when talking about pitching. And I had no reason to expect any different. So it makes sense that they have kind of different guys bridging to Bednar depending on the situation.
Yeah, you'll use Tim Hill every so often. He's going to be your lefty specialist, and you'll see him at various times throughout the game. Like I think today he came in the fifth inning and he got just gotten out. That's just what Tim Hill does. I think what's interesting. I think we still have Paul Blackburn on the roster, but I could be wrong. But it's like you have Paul Blackburn and you have Ryan Yarborough. Like those guys aren't late inning guys; they're more mid relievers, spot starters. So there's an interesting dynamic there. But it seems like Hedrick, Duvall, and Bednar are your late inning guys right now.
Based off my quick Google search, even though he hasn't appeared since April 4th, it looks like he is still on the Yankees.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I wouldn't say that's my top reliever option. I would actually prefer if he didn't pitch in games, but that's just me.
Oh, well, I'm sure he'll be very upset to hear that. But he is dog ass, so it is what it is, Luke, do you remember what year we left off last year with our prospect rankings? Was it 2013 or 2014?
We did 2013. I think we did 2013.
Gotcha. I did think so as well. So I'm going to pull both of those up for us, both the Yankees and the Mets. This has really become a fan favorite segment, and really a favorite of us here.
I don't know if it's I don't know if it's a fan favorite. It's definitely a Ram favorite.
Which is funny because we did it. We started it when Ram wasn't here. So that's kind of funny, actually. But it is what it is. Since we're just talking about the Yankees, let's start with theirs first. If my computer wants to play nice with me, there we go. So we have the 2014 Yankees. I think that is the highest I can pull it, the closest I can pull it up. So I do apologize. But there are some, names of players that are still around. Gary Sanchez, Aaron Judge, Sevy, Luis Torrens. Ironically enough, we briefly talked about him. And Andujar. It is interesting to me that Aaron Judge was never really that high of a prospect for you guys, and he turned into, I don't know, the second best hitter in the league.
Yeah. It's wild that at that time he was 9 in 2014. I want to say he was just drafted that year. So I think they were still getting a gauge on the kind of player he was. I don't think there was ever an expectation that he was going to be a three-time MVP, batting title, most home runs in American League history in a season. I don't think that there was ever those expectations for him. and he's far exceeded those. Severino too is interesting. I mean, at one point he was the ace for the New York Yankees. I guess he's the de facto ace for the Athletics now. So some really good years from Severino. Tyler Austin, we talked about, I want to say a couple weeks ago, and his shining moment was getting in the fight with Joe Kelly of the Boston Red Sox. Like you said, Gary Sanchez still around. There were a lot of high expectations for Gary Sanchez, and at some points in his career, he definitely met them. But at some point, it just tapered off, and it became more of a hindrance to the team. I've always said, give me a defensive catcher. Give me a defensive catcher first, and if he can hit, that's great. He could do neither at one point, and it was pretty brutal to watch, right? I don't really care. I don't really care if you hit 210. If you're a really good framer and you can get a really good throw down to second base, awesome. Or you can call a really great game, awesome. I don't really care that he bat 210, but he was batting 210 and balls were just flying past him. So, I don't think there. I think he was here for the. I think he was here for the 6 years for pre-arb and arbitration. After arbitration, he had free agency. He was gone. And I want to say he struggled. He struggled to get a deal after leaving the Yankees too.
Yeah, he was with the Mets for like a week before they cut him.
Yeah, I remember that. I want to say he was. Who's he with now? I want to say he's with like.
He's with the Brewers.
Brewers. He's with the Brewers. I want to say he was with Baltimore. He jumped around a lot after the Yankees. I want to say my favorite name on this list is number 7, Greg Bird. One of the best spring training hitters of all time. Pops 8 home runs in spring training and then just didn't do a single thing in the season. And he'd get so excited because of left-handed bat, Yankee Stadium, and the dude just didn't have drive. And I think that was one of the biggest criticisms of Greg Bird is that he was so okay with being mediocre, or he was so okay with just being a major leaguer. Like I think there was a lot more to him, and he just refused to untap that. So I know he had a big home run in the ALDS against the then Indians. I want to say that was back in 2016. So huge moment for him. But other than that, it was very lackluster for Greg Bird. Let's see. Luis Torrens, we talked about. Yankees should have kept him rather than promote Gary Sanchez so much. And Miguel Andujar, who should have won the Rookie of the Year, but was stolen by Ohtani because he could pitch and hit. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool, bro.
I mean, it's, with Greg Bird, it seems like now, obviously, Beatty he broke out last year, but it's one of those times where it's players like, hang up that Mets or Yankees spring training jersey in the rafters. Absolute demons in spring training, and then when the season starts, they just aren't the same player. Obviously, another former Met, Luis Severino. He only spent 1 year, but I have a lot of love for him. He's just a all-around good guy, and just seemed like a great clubhouse guy. With
high
that
energy,
whole...
just a high energy guy. You could see that he's just someone. He's someone that wants to play baseball, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you saw in the WBC as well with him. Just really excited to pitch for the Dominican Republic, and just went out and basically threw his arm off, right? Like he was throwing 98, 99 miles per hour. I mean, I don't think he's thrown that hard in like 3 years.
Yeah.
But the dude wants to win. He wants to pitch well. He wants his team to succeed. So I have a lot of respect. A lot of respect for Luis Severino. I know it's tough playing for the athletics organization, but I mean, kudos to him for staying out there and pitching for them again this season.
Yeah, and when all that OMG stuff was going on, he was the guy when he wasn't pitching. He'd always hold that sign.
Yep.
And then obviously, I have a lot of love for Luis Torrens, probably the best backup catcher in baseball. Um, he hits pretty well for a backup catcher. He has a cannon of an arm. He's one of the most has the highest percentage of throwing people out at second base, and he calls a damn good game. So there's not too much negative you can really say about your backup catcher when that's what he's doing. Is there any other player you wanted to highlight here, Luke, or do you want to move on to the
No,
Mets?
I think I'm good. I'm a little upset we got rid of Jose Ramirez and somehow the Guardians turned him into a third baseman. But other than that, I'm good.
All right, let me pull up the Mets here. Here we go. So, the Mets, we have some players that made honestly, more of a major league impact than a lot of the other Yankees to varying degrees. Noah Syndergaard, man, I thought he was going to be the guy. For a time, he was. Obviously, he was surpassed by Syndergaard, but there was a time where he was better than where Syndergaard was better than DeGrom. Travis d'Arnaud, while I don't think he hit the ceiling that I thought he could have, his floor certainly was nothing to sneeze at. He's had a very long career. And also won a World Series. Rafael Montero, I mean, he's Rafael Montero. Dominic Smith, another long career, kind of having a bit of a resurgence with the Atlanta Braves. When he came up, it was kind of him and Pete, and there wasn't really room for both of them. And the Mets, correctly went with Pete Alonso. But, he's made a nice little career for himself. He had some success with the Red Sox. He's having some success right now with the Braves. And ultimately, he was a good guy. Good clubhouse guy. Never heard any negative things said about him. I'm glad he's doing pretty good. You got Wilmer Flores.
Just on the Dom Smith too. Like I think his development was stunted because they could not find a place for him. Right.
I agree.
I think he has always been an above average hitter, and his fielding really kept him out of the lineup for the Mets, and they could not find a place for him, and that really sucks because I think he is a really good hitter. He's shown it in so many different places, as you said before. Boston, I know San Francisco, he had a lot of success, and it looks like he's hitting well for Atlanta as well. So it's tough, and you're absolutely right. I mean, Pete Alonso was the move, right? Pete Alonso is going to be your first baseman. I don't know, and it's one of those situations where he probably would have been better off if the Mets tried to move him, but at the same time, like the Mets want to hold on to him because it's like, okay, maybe he could play the outfield. Maybe we can stick him in a DH spot. And I want to say the time he was coming up, there wasn't a DH in the NL, right?
Mm-hmm.
So his only opportunity was playing first base because he was absolutely atrocious in the corner outfield. So
he cannot play outfield. Yeah.
No, it was a tough spot for him. You kind of hoped that the Mets would move him and he could have an opportunity to play first base elsewhere. It's also really tough coming up as just a first baseman, right? Because you think about it, like, first base is so designated for those older guys, trying to keep them off the rest of the field. And you think about the young spry guys, and it's like, yeah, you probably should be playing middle infield, at worst playing corner outfield, and all he can provide is playing first base. So it really limited him, but he does have a really good bat, and it sucks that the Mets really couldn't hone in on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, there wasn't a DH position when he came up. If there was, it would not have been an issue. But it is what it is. The Mets at the end of the day did make the right call, though. And moving on the list, another Mets fan favorite, Wilmer Flores. What can't you say about Wilmer Flores? Mets fans really fell in love with him when he thought he was going to get traded, and he, cried
Cried
on
in
the
the
field.
dugout.
Because that's the only team he knew, and say what you want about Mets fans, we can be miserable bastards, but like we saw that like how much he loved the organization and loved the Mets, and the next game he hit hit a walk-off home run against the Washington Nationals, who we were fighting for the division at that point.
Yeah.
And since then Mets fans fell in love, gave him a standing ovation anytime he did anything. And he had a very nice long career. Now he's retired. Well, it's not officially retired, but he signed a deal for Mexico, and so he's playing down there this year. But again, nice career. Played pretty much everywhere in the diamond except for catcher, but
Yep.
Solid player.
Yeah, I agree. And then you come to Amed Rosario, who's apparently the best power hitter on the New York Yankees. So, solid prospect there. And at number 7, you have the child of God in Brandon Nimmo.
On his best day, he's a child of God. On his worst day, he's also a child of God.
He's still a child of
God. Going back to Amed Rosario real quick, obviously, one of the players we traded to get Francisco Lindor. If I can be completely honest with you for a second, the day where I didn't have to pretend that Amed Rosario was a good shortstop was a good day for my mental health. But yeah, I mean, next off, then we got Brandon Nimmo again, another real beloved guy from the fan base. Just a very solid player, good guy in the locker room, and an underrated part of him is he was great with the fans, especially the younger ones. Something Mets fans do on Sundays is before the game starts, they have the kids of season ticket holders. They all like run out to one of the players in the field, and they have a little conversation. They do the national anthem, and then they go back out. And you can tell some players are just kind of like, okay, I just kind of gotta get through this interaction. But like every time Nimmo would like get on a knee to get on their level and have like, you can actually tell he was having a legitimate conversation with them. And like just little things like that, like as a fan of the team, like just that he's treating, taking this interaction seriously and treating another Mets fan like that. It was always nice to see. It certainly hurt a lot when he got traded, but nothing but love for the child of God, Brandon Nimmo here.
Yep.
Then we got Kevin Plawecki, catcher. Didn't really do much. Kind of hung around for a couple years in some of those Wilpon dark years, but nothing really terrible to say. Speaking of terrible things to say, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. So number 9, Cesar Pulo.
Yeah.
Pulio.
Yeah.
Sure.
You got
it. 10, Gavin. Another one I'm going to swing and miss on.
Sure.
Again, Wilpon Dark Ages didn't really do much. Number 11, Dilson Herrera. This one I can do. Another guy that when he first came up, I thought he was going to be a guy. He's honestly this was around the time where I started to actually pay attention to the Mets and become a Mets fan. And you heard people talk about Dilson Herrera, and I was like, oh, this guy might be good. And then he never did anything. So that was disappointing. We got Steven Matz. Steven Matz, one of the pitchers that came out in the 2015 season.
Yep.
His debut was a little cooler than most. He had 3 hits on his debut. I think he had like 3 or 4 RBIs as well. Back when pitchers would hit, if you can remember.
They didn't have DH, and Dominic Smith wasn't allowed to play.
Then number 13, Corey Mazzino. I'd be lying to you if I knew anything about him. I'm not Ram. I don't have that deep knowledge of prospects like he does. Number 14, another real unknown guy, Jacob deGrom. No,
I don't think anyone's ever heard of him. But I wonder if things have panned out for him. Is he like pitching in the Mexican League or something?
He's pitching as close to the Mexican League as you can be in without being in the Mexican League. at least
Gotcha.
by distance. Um, no, I mean
I might
obviously,
have to fact check you on that one, but I get what you're saying.
I whatever, man. Listen, he's playing Texas. It
He's
borders
playing in
it.
Texas. I got you. I got you.
No, but listen, I mean, obviously, with the exception of Aaron Judge, probably the best player that we have talked about so far on these prospect reports.
Yep.
Man, let me tell you, special Jacob Degrom. Jacob Degrom days were special. Um, Similar to Harvey days, people would go to the ballpark just to see him. I I actually prefer to watch baseball, listen to baseball on the radio than watch it on TV. But days where Jacob Degrom was starting, I tried my best to make sure I could watch it on TV. Um, the best pitcher I've ever seen. Um, Unfortunately, couldn't stay healthy. He can't stay healthy, but
Yep.
man, when he's healthy, I think he's the best pitcher in baseball.
No, I think if he stayed healthy, I think there's definitely a case for the Hall of Fame. His numbers alone make a case for the Hall of Fame. He just hasn't compiled enough because of a multitude of reasons. One, he got called up so late because he started his career as a shortstop and then converted to a starting pitcher. And the other being was it two or three Tommy John surgeries. I can't remember it. I know it's definitely at least two, and I want to say he had a third one with Texas as well.
Probably.
Yeah.
I can't pay too. My heart can't afford for me to pay too much attention from out in Texas. It hurts too much. But it's just yeah, like I said, probably the best pitcher I've ever seen. God, he was so
Yeah,
good.
and then you got Michael Fulmer there, and he pitched a couple times in some places.
Listen, Michael Fulmer. The most important thing he ever did was be part of the trade for Yoenis Cespedes, which I will forever be chasing the high of how 2015 Yoenis Cespedes made me feel. What a great time to be a Mets fan. One of the few great times to be a Mets fan. I know
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go for it.
Was was DeGrom on the 2015 opening roster? Opening day
Yes.
roster?
Opening day roster. I no, he was not. He came up towards I think towards the tail end of the season.
Yeah, because so you kind of think about this rotation 2015, 2016. Matt Harvey, right? You still had Matt Harvey at the time.
Yes, and he was the ace of the staff at that point.
Yep, you had Jacob DeGrom, you had Noah Syndergaard, you had 2016. Steven Matz was at the back end of the rotation. So you have four homegrown guys.
Do you remember who the fifth pitcher was?
I don't remember who the fifth was.
Oh,
I want to say it's Bartolo Colon.
You do remember who the fifth starter is?
Big sexy.
Big sexy. Hit home run.
He did. He absolutely did. I'll never forget that moment. It was in San Diego at Petco Park.
Absolutely, maybe one of the best moments in baseball.
Could be. Some may argue that. No, you talk a lot about how the Mets don't produce pitching, and this pipeline from 2012 to 2014 shows that. I mean, there has been a ton of development out of the Mets. We talked about him last week. I mean, you guys had Zach Wheeler too, right? That's sick. I mean, these guys in their prime, right? If you could line these guys up in their prime, one of the best rotations of all time. Easily. So the Mets.
I mean, they all flamed out, but yeah.
I mean, it's a bit of a Brett Beatty's the second best hitter in the lineup on some days when I say these guys in their prime, Syndergaard, his prime was not very long, right? Steven Matz, his prime was not very long. DeGrom, his prime is in different areas because it's split up by injury. Relative to Hall of Fame pitchers. Matt Harvey's prime is not very long,
Mhm.
right? But these guys, if you could have lined their primes up, like those short stints up, you're talking about one of the best pitching staffs of all time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's if the way people talk about Tim Lincecum, and because obviously he had a very short prime as well, um, but like he had a great team around him, and they won 2 World Series.
Yep.
At least he won 2 World Series.
Yep.
I think in that span they won 4, but he won 2. Like if you would have replaced him with Matt Harvey or Noah Syndergaard, specifically those two, Steven Matz was good, never great. Um, I think people may be talking about Matt Harvey or Noah Syndergaard the way they talked about Tim Lincecum.
Right.
Um, Specifically more Matt Harvey. Matt Harvey in his prime, granted his prime was like 2 seasons, but
I
oh
yeah, I would say Matt Harvey could line up with Tim Lincecum. I don't know if I could go as far to say that Noah Syndergaard lines up with Tim Lincecum.
no,
I think there would
maybe I
I
worded
think
it
there are certain games that Noah Syndergaard had that you're like, wow, this guy's a world beater, but it just the consistency wasn't there for Syndergaard.
maybe I worded it poorly. I don't mean like you can compare the two as far as their peak. I mean like people would talk about them the same way.
Sure.
Yeah, obviously Harvey was the better pitcher over Syndergaard, but Syndergaard was in his own right impressive. He could throw close to 100. He had a nice pitch mix. He wasn't just power, but eventually he lost his power behind his heater, and it all fell apart. Now he's out of baseball. Um, I don't even think there's much of a point to really even talk about the last couple of guys after Michael Former. I know Jerry's Familia is there, but I cannot forgive him for 2015. That was just like I could have saw the Mets win a World Series, but thanks to him and poor defense, I didn't. So yeah, I mean,
It's
I don't know.
another great addition of Yankees and Mets prospects through the years. And this just proves my point that the Mets can produce pitching.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean they can. Um, I don't think it's necessarily Matt Harvey. I might blame them a little bit for. He allegedly, I'm going to say, just in case Matt Harvey sees this and sues me, it was allegedly. Nothing was confirmed. May have may not had a bit of a problem. And the Mets probably didn't do the best job taking care of their homegrown superstar. Kind of let him get, let the fame get to him. But, with this new crop of pitchers coming on, you hope that while it's much longer of a period, but you hope they can get similar peaks that they did.
Yeah.
One thing I did want to mention very quickly about the Knicks, because Ram brought it as a big point of contention a couple weeks ago about the curse of Tom Thibodeau. About how every time Tom Thibodeau leaves a team, they perform worse the following season. So as we all know, Tom Thibodeau was fired last year from the Knicks. And they finished with last year. They finished with 51 wins for the season.
Mm-hmm.
This year, there are 3 games left, and they are currently at 51 wins. So if they win one of the last remaining 3 games, they break the Tom Thibodeau curse. So Ram, and to all you other Knicks fans out there, congratulations.
Yay. I think they're going to finish. They're going to finish third in the East. They're going to finish behind the Pistons and the Celtics.
Yes.
Celtics look scary with Jason Tatum back. So it'll be an interesting playoff for the Knicks. That's about the extent of NBA information I can muster up.
Yeah, I mean the Knicks, they, like I said, have 3 games left. One of those games tomorrow is against the Celtics. They cannot move up to the 3rd seed because even if the Celtics are 3.5 games above them, and so even if the Knicks win out and the Celtics lose all 3, the Celtics have the tiebreaker, so they can only stay at 3rd. However, the Cavaliers can finish ahead of them. They're tied on wins with 51. The Celtics have one more loss at 29 to Knicks 28. So they could fall down to the 4th seed. That's about as far as they could fall down to, though. But anyway, we have met our contractually obligated hour at this point. Is there anything you wanted to talk before final thoughts?
Well, I'm just I'll be at Yankee Stadium tomorrow, so I'm excited to go to a Yankees game. It's been
a while.
It's been a while. Yeah, it has been a while since I've been to a Yankees game. I spent last summer going to a Mets game with y'all when I was in town. So I'm excited to get back to Yankee Stadium. I'm excited to see your boy Ryan Weathers pitch tomorrow.
I have some news for you. We can talk about that later.
Okay. All right. Well, he'll always be your boy, no matter how old he gets and no matter wherever he goes. He's still your boy. I'm excited to get back to the stadium. It's gonna be cold as heck tomorrow, but I'll be out there. Weathering the cold and enjoying the Yankees.
Oh, you'll be weathering the storm with Weathers. That's nice.
Yes, I'll be weathering it with Ryan Weathers.
It's kind of funny. I've actually been to a Yankee game in a closer span than you have. I went to last time I went to Yankee Stadium was 2023.
Wow.
Yeah, saw them play the Mets.
I'd have to look and see the last time I went to a Yankees game. I think I was supposed to go 2 summers ago and missed out on it.
Well, if you could do me a favor and please get the garlic fries. I dog on the Yankees that the Mets have a much better stadium and food than they do, but there's Yankee garlic fries slap.
I will try my best to find the garlic fries just for you, Peter.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just send me a video you eat them. I'd appreciate that.
Okay, got you. And I'll send you my cholesterol levels after as well.
Sounds good. Did you want to? Was that your final talk or thought, or did you want to talk about something else before?
That's all I got. I got.
Apologies for not pulling us back up on the big screen during your final thoughts. That's inconsiderate of me for our two viewers. They want to see your jawline. My final thought has nothing to do with New York sports. Has to do with my favorite soccer team, Napoli. On Monday, they beat AC Milan 1-0, scoring a goal in the 86th minute by Matteo Politano to put them into 2nd place. There are 7 games left in the season, and they are 7 points behind Inter Milan. Inter Milan have lost 3 games out of their last 10, and they are looking like they're looking like they're losing confidence. It's not likely, but it is possible that Napoli could pass them, similar to what they did last year, and then win the double, something that they have never done in their history. But so that would be really cool to see. And yeah, Forza Napoli. That's my final thought. So on behalf of the whole team, even those who couldn't be here, for the New York Power Hour side of the Best Damn Sports YouTube boys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Ed, for Go Napoli as well. I agree. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Take care.